How can the U.S. be prepared to send more of the same rounds Israel reportedly used to kill Hind Rajab if all these days later it can't get to some sort of conclusion on such a well-known case?
Well,
الدبابة وين؟ الدبابة جنبكم؟
It's been over 2 weeks since Israeli forces attacked Hind Rajab's family, killing her aunt, uncle, and cousins, leaving her trapped alone in her vehicle. We heard her pleas to the Red Crescent Society.
I think that question is appropriately directed to the government of Israel. I will say on behalf of the United States, we have made clear to them that we want that incident to be investigated. They have told us they are investigating it.
Any updates on Hind Rajab's, the investigation in the killing of Hind Rajab's family and the paramedics sent to save her?
I don't have an update. My understanding is that the investigation is ongoing.
How can this administration's approach of relegating things to months-long investigations while not changing policy, all as thousands more are killed, be a justified approach?
Investigations in some cases take time. You heard me a minute ago say we want them in every case to be conducted swiftly, but not at the expense of thoroughness.
It's been 101 days now since Hind Rajab, her family members, medics sent to save her were killed. So first question related to that is there an update on the investigation into that attack?
I don't have anyone. I'm happy to go back and get you the latest.
Is there an update into this investigation?
Let me get you an answer on that and come back to you.
Is it really an independent investigation if the alleged culprits are the ones conducting the strike?
What I said, we thought it's appropriate for the government of Israel to investigate. What they have said is they went to these agencies and asked for information and it wasn't forthcoming.
Will you move to verify those claims?
It is not for us to do it.
I reached out to the Red Crescent and they said that no, the Israeli government did not reach out. So has the Biden-Harris administration followed up on this alleged lie by the Israeli government, or sought to confirm any of Israel's claims on the half-year-old killing now of this girl and her family?
So we are in touch with our partners in Israel around the clock on a variety of issues. I don't have any specifics to read out as it relates to this conversation. I'm happy to check if there have been any additional updates, but to my understanding, this investigation is still ongoing, and I will leave it to them to speak to the details of it.
It's now 197 days since Hind Rajab was killed, her family member was killed, medics said they were killed. What's the update on that?
I don't have any updates for you.
How can Aisha Noor's family take an investigation seriously if it's conducted by the perpetrator, and, moreover, if they've continued delayed and reportedly lied to the U.S. about their investigation into Hind Rajab?
Well, that is exactly why we have called and have continued to call for these processes to be as swift and as thorough as possible.
When can Americans expect a conclusion?
Any American can expect that this administration and this government will do everything we can to ascertain and gather whatever information is required.
How exactly is the U.S. approaching this if, on this case, 9 months later, Israel is now saying there's no investigation into this incident? And how can the U.S. keep unconditionally sending more weapons if this is how Israel is dealing with investigations of potential violation?
You should go to them for questions about what they may or may not be doing. And with this one where they've said, and I know the Red Crescent has said something different, we're not in a position to ultimately adjudicate which bit of information is accurate and which is not. I can tell you what we are doing on behalf of the United States government, which is conducting our own assessments of a variety of incidents that raise questions about violations of international humanitarian law, and those assessments are ongoing.
Is this one of them?
I'm not going to speak to individual assessments. I've always made clear that's not something that I'm going to do. The Israelis say that they reached out to the relevant NGOs for information. The NGOs failed to provide that. I can't speak on behalf of either the Israelis or the NGOs about what is true and what isn't, but that's what we've been told by the parties.
How can the U.S. be prepared to send more of the same rounds Israel reportedly used to kill Hind Rajab if all these days later it can't get to some sort of conclusion on such a well-known case?
Well, again, I'm just with respect to the premise, I think there is an underlying factual dispute that I can't speak to.
But this dispute is the point, is not. The factual dispute is something that is of concern to the U.S. if it is giving weapons to a country for which it's unclear what happened when they killed civilians. Is that not kind of the point?
So